Hello. So this lesson is going to be about double and triple sequencing games. If you have not seen the just like strict sequencing games, please watch that one before this one. You kind of need to know how to do a regular, just straight up sequencing game before you dive into the different layers that you have. So there's really not a whole lot additional in this lesson because the only thing that's different is you just add a layer to your game. So really, we're going to be going over double and triple sequencing games. Double sequencing games are much more common than triple sequencing games. Really, there's only like two, maybe three games that I can think of. And one of them for the triple sequencing, one of them is one that we're going to go over today. So triple sequencing games do not happen very often. And I cannot think of a game where you have 4 rows that you're ordering. I can't think of one. So really the most that you're going to have to do is a triple sequencing game. So when we talk about double and triple sequencing, what I mean by that is you have 2 groups that you're ordering at once. So the games that we're going to go over today for the double sequencing, we're going over like a concert venue is putting on a show or something like that. And each song is played by a different instrument. For the triple sequencing game, we have batches of cookies. And we have different types of cookies. So you have 3 different types of cookies. So really we're trying to figure out the order that they go in. And sometimes within these games, they do like not overlap, but connect to one another. So there could be a rule, something like if we're looking at the double sequencing game, it could be something like, if this song is played on Wednesday, then Thursday's instrument is a guitar or something like that. So there could be some overlap. Some of the more easier ones don't have as much overlap. And then of course, some of the harder ones are going to have more overlap. So really the best way to attack these games is to, as always, write out your rules the way that your diagram is set up, and use, if it's not a variable, use like X or Y as a floater variable. So if I don't know, using my previous example, if I don't know which song on Wednesday that instrument's going to be, I can replace it with X. So then whenever I do figure out who that instrument's going to be, I can just replace it in there. But I have it set up in a way that I can kind of see how my rules are going to interact a lot easier and how they're going to be placed. So we'll go more in depth on that. But yeah, that's kind of like the main overview of double and triple sequencing games. So like I said, the first one that we're going to do is the double sequencing, and then we'll move into a triple sequencing. So the first one is practice test 41 game 2. This one, like I said, is a double sequencing game. And it says that we have at a children's festival, exactly 4 songs are performed, each exactly once. Let me get my pen. So our songs are going to be Nights All Right, Question Man, Rhino Rock, and Sammy. So these are my song group variables. The songs are performed consecutively, so there's our ordering aspect, each on a different one of exactly 4 instruments. We have the flute, the guitar, the harmonica, or the keyboard. So we have these different groups. This is another thing with double sequencing games is you typically don't have the same variables because you're ordering different groups. So write out which groups include which variables. That's going to be easy for you to remember that when I see R on my diagram, that's a song, not an instrument. That can be confusing if you mess up or flip them around or something like that. So like the game said, we're going to be ordering them, and each song is going to be played once. So we have 4 spots. And when I do a double sequencing game, I like to assign 1 row to each group. So I'm going to assign the first row to my songs and my second row to my instruments. And that's going to remind me that when I do have to place R or K, I know which row it goes on. Okay, so the first rule says the first song performed is not performed on the flute. Okay, so for this rule, I'm just going to say that the flute is not being performed in number one. I'm making a mental note that means it's going to be performed second, third, or fourth. I'm just evaluating my options there. And for the first song, it's going to be either G, H, or K. I don't really need to do anything with that, but it's just a good mental note. The second rule says if Sammy performed on the keyboard, then Rhino Rock performed on the harmonica. Okay, so this is where it's starting to kind of like talk about them all together, the groups all together. We're not looking at one group individually. And it's also important to note that this is an if rule. It's a conditional rule. So it's only when S is performed on the keyboard. If S isn't performed on the keyboard, the rule doesn't exist. So for this rule, I'm going to write something like if S is on the keyboard, then R is on the harmonica. And this is what I meant by earlier of writing your rules the way that you have your diagram set up. So my songs are on top, my instruments are on bottom. If I knew that, or if the rule didn't tell me that S was performed on the keyboard, I could do something like if S is performed on my second spot, then Rhino Rock is going to have the harmonica. And I could use that X to signify that it's going to be some variable I don't know, but S is on top. So it's an easy way for me to visually see that. So like the rule said, if S is performed on K, then Rhino Rock is performed on the harmonica. As far as building worlds go right now, I don't really want to do anything with this rule because it doesn't really give me a place to put them. Like it's just kind of telling me the pairings. It's not saying that S is forced to go into 2 or 3. So really, I could make a ton of worlds. One where S and K is in 1, one where S and K is in 2, 3, 4. And then R is in those 3 other spots. So it's not a really good rule to start with for worlds right now. So we're going to leave it alone. Number 3 says if Q is performed on the keyboard, then N is performed on the flute. So literally exact same rule, just different variables. So I'm going to write it like this. If Q is on the keyboard, then N is going to be on the flute. Again, it's the same rule, so it's not a great rule to start with. It's not really telling me much more about the game. The only thing that I'm noticing is K is kind of our trigger variable here. Doesn't mean that our necessaries change, but it's an interesting thing to note. And my last rule says the song performed on keyboard immediately follows Rhino Rock and immediately precedes Night's All Right. Okay, so this goes into the ordering aspect of the game. 2 and 3 kind of went into the pairings of the 2 groups. And my 4th rule is kind of going into the actual like gist of the game. So we're going to say that the song performed on the keyboard, and I'm going to pause there because that's giving me new information. The one that's on the keyboard. And this is a good example of what we were talking about earlier is I don't exactly know, according to this rule, who was on the keyboard. So I'm just going to put an X above just to signify that I don't know, but the keyboard is what I'm most interested in. Immediately follows Rhino Rock. So Rhino Rock is a song that goes on top. And again, we don't know who is what Rhino Rock is being played on. So we're going to put an X there. So it immediately follows Rhino Rock and immediately precedes Night's All Right. So Night's All Right is again another song, but we don't know who is being played on that one. So we know that this is in order. The song performed on the keyboard immediately follows Rhino Rock and immediately precedes Night's All Right. And key words immediately, that means to me that this is a box. I can't pull them apart. It's immediately after and immediately before. So this is a really good rule to start with because I only have 4 spots and this is giving me a block of 3. So all I'm going to do is think about picking up that block and shifting it down my line. And because it's 3 of them, I really can't do any, like there's only 2 ways that I can do this. So I'm going to create a duplicate. One of my ways is R is going to be on top, K is here, N is here, where my block is taking up that first three. If I shift it down, I can't go any further. So I can shift it down one spot. K is on that third, R is second, and N is fourth. And of course, I can't have F here. So that gives me two worlds that I can work off of. And now I don't have to think about that fourth rule anymore. I can move on and focus on my 2 and 3 rule. All right. All right, so I don't think there's really like any good rule to start with. However, I think within our diagrams, we can do a little bit more before actually going into our rules. And this I think will actually help our rules. Because if you look at our songs, we know where R and N are placed, but we don't know where S and Q are placed. And one of them is going to have to be that K spot. And depending on who is in that K spot is going to depend on which rule is initiated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate my 2 worlds and I'm going to fill out that top line. If you get to a point in your game where you don't really have a good rule to start with, or you don't really know where to work on, see if you can fill in one of your lines, because that's just, it gets one of the things out of the way that you have to worry about, and then you can just focus on another line. So in this first world, I'm going to duplicate it. So we have our songs on top, instruments on bottom. And in one of them, I'm going to say S is going to go in 2, Q is going to go in 4. And then the other one, I'm just going to flip them. And I'm going to do that for the second world before I go in and attack any of the rules, just so I have my diagrams done. So again, one of them, I'm going to have S on top or first, Q on 3, and then I'm going to flip them in the other world. And now I've completed that first row. All I have to think about now is the instruments. And thankfully, I can actually initiate some of these rules because the only variables that could go on K was S and Q. So depending on where those variables are placed is going to depend on which rule is initiated in the world. So for example, in this first world, S is with K. That's going to initiate this second rule. And it's not going to do anything with this third rule because Q is not with K. So the second rule says that R has to be with H, which is fine by me. Number 3 says Q is with K. So it's going to initiate this third rule, which says N is going to be with F, fine by me. 2 again, Q is again with K. So I'm going to put N with F. And in number 4, I have S with K, which means R is going to go with H, which is perfect. Now I've completely eliminated all of my rules. However, I only have 2 spots left on those bottom lines. So I can probably figure out where those variables are going to go, or at the very least, notice that they're going to flip flop. So for example, in number 1, I have F and G left over, and there's no rules that's going to restrict where those go right now. So they're going to flip flop between N and Q. And number 3, I have G and H left over. And again, I don't have any rules restricting that. So they're going to flip flop. Number 2, I have G and H left over. No rules there. So they're going to flip flop. Essentially, they become floaters. Number 4 is a little different though. I have H and K left over. F and G left over. And my one rule is still applying that F can't go in that first spot. So it's going to force F to go in my 4th spot and G to go in my 1st spot. And that's the diagram. So this is what a double sequencing game is going to look like. Again, it's not super different from a regular ordering game. We just have an extra layer to it. So let's go over the questions. We're gonna do, I'm just gonna move these out of the way a little bit. I'll bring them back in. but I'm moving them out of the way because the first one is a list question. And as I've said before, we don't need our worlds to answer a list question. So can I bring it back up? Oh, there we go. So I have our list question here, and I also have the rules here. Your list question, you should just go through your rules and eliminate the answer choices that are violating your rules. So rule number 1 is the first song performed is not performed on the flute. So I'm going to go through and make sure that that's not being violated. So that's going to eliminate C because I have the flute in number 1. So that's done. If Sammy is performed on the keyboard, okay, I'm going to see which questions or which answer choices that pertains to. Only B. So if Sammy's on the keyboard, R has to be performed on the harmonica. Yep, that's good. We're good there. Okay, don't have to worry about that one. If Q is performed on the keyboard, where does that happen? That happens in A and D. N is performed on the flute. I don't have that in A, and I don't have that in D. So now I'm between B and E. The song performed on the keyboard immediately follows Rhino Rock. So keyboard following Rhino Rock, that's eliminating E. Keyboard following Rhino Rock and immediately precedes Night's All Right. Yep, that happens in B. So our answer choice is going to be B. And if we look at our diagram, we should be able to find B here. So Q on G. Yep, this is going to be the 4th diagram, is answer choice B. Okay, next one says, which one of the following could be true? Could be true, just have to happen once. So long as I have it happening one time, that's all I need. We have Q immediately follows the song performed on the keyboard. Can that happen? I don't have that happening in any of my worlds, so that's going to be a wrong answer choice. N immediately precedes the song performed on keyboard. Can I have that happen? Don't have that happening in any of my worlds. Q immediately precedes the song performed on guitar. Don't have that happening. Actually, Q is either going to precede F or H or nothing at all. So nope. R immediately precedes the song on the harmonica. Don't have that happening. You pray and hope that it's E. I hate when it's E. Sammy immediately precedes the song performed on the guitar. We could have that happen. Ooh. Right here. We could have it happen where Sammy is immediately preceding G. So E is going to be our answer in this question. Number 10 says, which one of the following cannot be true of the song performed on the flute? Okay. So we're looking for the song that's performed on the flute. Could be N or Q, could be N, N. So we have N, 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 or N or Q here. Those are the only songs that could be on the flute, which is actually kind of interesting. So can it immediately precede question man? It can. And because we're looking for a cannot be true, that's going to be a wrong answer choice because I can't have N immediately before Q. Can it immediately follow Q? Yes, it can happen down in 2. Q can be immediately before N. So because we're looking for the cannot, B is going to be wrong. Can it precede Rhino Rock? No, it's either going to precede Q or it's going to precede S. So I like C so far. Can it immediately follow Night's All Right? It can if we say that Q is going to be F. So N could immediately, it can immediately follow N. So nope, that's not right. Can it immediately follow Sammy? It can happen that in both of these worlds, we can have Sammy immediately before the one that plays the flute. So my answer choice is going to be C because that's the one that cannot happen. Number 11 says if Rhino Rock is the second song performed at the festival. So that means that we're looking at worlds number 2 and 4. Which one of the following could be true? Okay, little trick. Could be trues typically target the variables that flip around because it just has to happen once. And so it's kind of it's kind of a dead giveaway, or like a must be true has to happen. So technically it could be true if it must be true. So just a little tip, these could be true questions you can kind of predict by looking at the variables that are flipping around, because that's the one it's usually going to target. So I'm honestly predicting it's going to say something along the lines of G and H flipping between 1 and 2. And I'm going to see if that happens. It actually does. Sometimes it doesn't happen because it does. It's just, it could be true, but it actually does happen. E, R could perform G. So let's check out A through D and see if those cannot be true. The first song is performed on the keyboard. Nope, it's either going to be G or H. Third song is on guitar. Nope, it's going to be K. Third song is on the flute. I just said it. It's going to be K. N is performed on the guitar. Nope, N is performed on F. So in this scenario, it does happen. I would say this happens like 60, maybe 70% of the time where it's going to target the variables that are flipping. So it's a good little trick. I mean, it saves you all of like 5 seconds. So even if you don't do it, it's not like it's going to hurt you, but it makes you kind of feel like a badass because you can predict the right answer choice. Okay. I think this might be the last one. It says if Q is the third song performed at the festival, where do we have that happening? Only number 2. Then each of the following could be true except. So we're looking for the exception, which means our 4 wrong answer choices can happen. So Q performing on a guitar, that can't happen. So I think that's our answer choice. I hate it when it's A because I never feel comfortable with it. So let's go through B through E. Q is performed on keyboard. That can happen. So it's wrong. R is performed on guitar. That can happen. Sammy on guitar. That can happen. Sammy on harmonica. That can happen. So yes, our answer choice is going to be A because it's the one that cannot happen. Yeah, okay, I was right. So that's the double sequencing side of ordering games. Now we're going to move into triple sequencing. And like I said before, it's really just adding that extra layer in there. So nothing really changes. This game, the one that we're going to be talking about, the cookie game, is one of my favorites because it's actually pretty restrictive, but it's a difficult game, but you can totally master it. This one's a little bit different because our variables repeat themselves. And in these layer games, you typically have like different groups. So if you're ordering 3 different groups, they're going to be different variables. However, in this cookie game, we have 3 different variables, but those 3 variables repeat themselves. So I'll show you what I mean. But I would say this one's not a super, it's not what I would say is like the traditional triple sequencing game, but it's a good example of what these sequencing games or these triple sequencing games look like. Okay, so we have, oh, my thing is kind of covered up. Okay, get my pen. So we have a bakery makes exactly 3 kinds of cookies. We have oatmeal, peanut butter, and sugar. So there's my variables. We have oatmeal, peanut butter, and sugar. Exactly 3 batches of each kind of cookie are made each week. So I'm going to pause there. These variables are going to repeat themselves 3 times. So that means that I'm going to have 3 O's, 2 P or 3 P's, 3 S's. When I have duplicated variables like this, I always like to do a subscript of the number because as you'll see in this game, it could target, a rule could target that second batch or that third batch, or when you start placing your variables, if P goes in the second to last spot, I can't do that because I have to have 2 following it. So it's a good way to kind of keep count. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we have our ordering slot. We have Monday through Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And each batch is made from start to finish on a single day. So it's not like we're going to have O2 and O3 both on Monday. And then we have our conditions. So like I said, this is going to be a triple sequencing game. So very similar to the double sequencing game that we just did. We're going to create each line or each row as a group or the cookie. So for example, my first row, I'm going to say is my oatmeal. My second one, I'm going to say is my peanut butter. And my third one, I'm going to say is my sugar cookies, which I'm really wanting cookies right now. Sounds so good. Okay. So it says my first rule, no 2 batches of the same kind of cookie are made on the same day. Did that just repeat a rule? Oh, I guess not really. The paragraph says each batch is made from start to finish on a single day. So technically, just by that rule itself, you could have 2 and 3 on Monday. But combined with our first rule means that each batch is going to be taken up in one day. So I can't have 3 O's all hanging out on Monday. They have to be spread out. Okay. I think that's a rule that I'm just going to keep in my head. It's not really like a rule that you can write out. If you wanted to write it out, I guess you could do something like, I can't have 2 on the same day or something like that. But I think this is a rule that you just, it's much easier to just keep in your head. The second rule says at least 1 batch of cookies is made on Monday. Okay, so someone has to go on Monday. I think for this rule, I might just put a star over M just to remind myself that someone has to go there. They all 3 could have their first batches on Monday, but just someone has to be in there. So it could be that oatmeal's the only one that's cooked on Monday. But like I said, all 3 could be on Monday. So I'm just going to put a star there to remind myself someone has to go there. The second batch of oatmeals is made on the same day as the first batch of peanut butter cookies. Okay, so in rule number 3, I'm going to say that the second batch of oatmeal is made on the first batch of peanut butter. So I'm writing out my rule the way that I have my diagram set up. O is on top of P, and my second is going to be on the same day as P, which means it's going to be in the same column. And let's go ahead and look at that last rule just to put it in our diagram, and then we'll talk more about number 3 because we can do a lot with number 3. The last rule says the second batch of sugar cookies is made on Thursday. So let's just plop that in there. Okay, so doesn't give us a whole lot to work with right now, but we can make some inferences, and that actually makes it pretty restrictive. One of the inferences that I'm seeing right away is if my second batch is on Thursday for my sugar cookie, that means my third batch for sugar cookies has to be on Friday. I can't put the third batch on Tuesday because numerically that's not possible. You would have to put, then the Tuesday one would be the second one. So you have to follow it numerically. And that's something that you just kind of like, I won't say it's common sense, but you have to follow numeric order. So we have to put them in a numeric order. We can't switch them around. So we can infer that that third batch is going to be on Friday. And that means that my sugar cookie, my first batch is going to be on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So I'm just going to leave that alone right now. But my third one, my third rule, we can actually do a lot with. Because going back to the point of we have to do it numerically, if my first peanut butter has to be on the same day as my second oatmeal, I can think about where the other batches could be. So for example, my first peanut butter, the latest that it can go is Wednesday, because I have to have room for the second and the third batch. It could also go on Tuesday. So I'm going to make a second world where it's on Tuesday. I think the worst part about these games is just how time consuming the duplication can be because you have so much in the world. But I promise it's worth it. So we have S2, S3. So like I said, peanut butter 1 could go on Tuesday. And technically, thinking about it, peanut butter 1 could also go on Monday. But if we have to have it on the same day as O2, it can't go on Monday because then I don't have space for O1. So if I have peanut butter 1 on Tuesday, I have O2 here with peanut butter 1. That leads me to say in that second world, O1 is going to have to go on Monday. And now I've completed the requirement of someone's on Monday. So I don't have to worry about that rule anymore. And in my first world, if peanut butter 1 is on Wednesday, that means the following ones are going to go in those remaining spaces. So I've taken care of that rule. Yay. Okay. So let's see what we have left over. In world number 1, peanut butter is completely slotted. Oatmeal, we have 3 and 1 to place, and in the sugar cookie, we just have 1 more to place. So I think what I'm going to do in this world is I'm going to attack this Monday rule. So I'm going to have 1 world where oatmeal 1 is on Monday, and 1 world where oatmeal 1 is on Tuesday. Those are the only days where the oatmeal can go, or oatmeal 1 can go. And if I determine where that goes, it's going to help me determine if I have to put S1 on Monday or not. So we're going to do a duplicate of this world. I really hope I have space. I can't remember how many worlds I end up making in this game. So like I said, we're going to have 1 where oatmeal 1 is on Monday and 1 where oatmeal 1 is on Tuesday. When I have it on Monday, the rule is satisfied. I don't really care about anything else for that rule. But when I have it on Tuesday, I'm going to be forced to put S1 on Monday because someone has to go there. So that takes care of that. And my oatmeal 3 for both of these is going to flip between Thursday and Friday. It doesn't really matter. So that finishes off that third world. And for the first world, my S1 doesn't really matter. The rule is already satisfied about Monday, so I can really have S1 go anywhere between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and be fine. Doesn't matter. So taking care of that. Now, looking at world number 2, like I said, we've already taken care of that Monday rule. Pretty much all of those rules are taken care of. So now it's really just about filling in what's left over. For my oatmeal, I have oatmeal batch number 3. That can really go anywhere. It kind of becomes a floater here. Same with S1, really becomes a floater here because again, we're not forced to put it in there because we already have someone on Monday. But my peanut butter 1 leaves me with peanut butter 2 and 3. So I'm going to split this again. I would maybe do something like peanut butter 2 is going to go between Wednesday and Thursday, and peanut butter 3 is going to go between Thursday and Friday. But this is for the sake of breaking up it into worlds. I'm going to break it up again and place one of those 2. So I'm going to focus on peanut butter number 2 and place it on Wednesday or Thursday. So then I can really focus on peanut butter number 3. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, oatmeal, peanut butter, sugar. We have O1, O2, O3, and we have P1. S1 is going to go between Wednesday and Monday, and S2, S3. So one of them, I'm going to put peanut butter 2 on Wednesday, peanut butter 2 on Thursday. That's going to force that third one to go on Friday. And in the second world, peanut butter 3 just flips between Thursday and Friday. So there are my worlds. It's a little bit more intense than the other game that we did, but these triple sequencing games do not happen very often. I'm actually going to spread this out a little bit. Let's get a little cramped. So let's go into our rules. Okay, so our first one is a list question. So we're going to move this to the side. Okay, and look and see what we have here. So again, we're going to go through our rules, eliminate the answer choices that violate those rules, and then come up with the correct answer. So rule number 1 said that no 2 batches of the same cookie are made on the same day. Do we have that problem? I don't think we do. They all look like they have different days. If this rule was to be violated, it would probably say something like, I'm looking at, say something like Tuesday, Thursday. And I'm not seeing any duplicated days. So we're good with that rule. We don't need to worry about it. At least 1 batch is made on Monday. So we're going to go through our answer choices, make sure Monday is included. That eliminates C. Don't have Monday there. Everyone else is good. The second batch of oatmeal is made on the same day as the first batch of peanut butter. So looking at answer choice D, I'm going to say the second batch of oatmeal matches the second batch of peanut butter. And actually this would eliminate D. So we're looking for that second one in oatmeal compared to the first one in peanut butter. So second in oatmeal, first in peanut butter. Wow, that actually eliminates that one too. Second in oatmeal, first in peanut butter, we're good there. Second in oatmeal, first in peanut butter, we're good there. And then our last rule, the second batch of sugar cookies is made on Thursday. I have Thursday here, I have Wednesday here. So it leaves me with answer choice A. And as always, we should be able to find our answer choice in our diagram. So let's see here. Oatmeal, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's happening here. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. So yes, that can happen. I'm going to move this. It's a little hard to read. Just a little cramped. That's okay though. Okay. Next question. Maybe we'll switch. Oof, don't know what I just did. There we go. Next one says, how many of the days Monday through Friday are such that at most 2 batches of cookies can be made on that day? This one's a little tricky. We're looking for a must be true, which has to be true 100% of the time. So it has to be true in all of my diagrams. And we're looking for the ones or the days, the number of days, how many days can have at most 2 batches of cookies. So if I only have 1 batch of cookie that could be on Monday or 3 batches of cookies that could be on Monday, it's not going to be my answer choice. So let's see here. Monday would be one of them because we can have 1 or oatmeal and sugar on there. Basically, peanut butter 1 can't go on there. So at most we have 1 on Monday. Tuesday is not going to be an option because I could have all 3. Wednesday is not going to be an option because I could have all 3. Same with Thursday and same with Friday because that 03 could go over there. So our answer choice is going to be 1. It's going to be Monday. And because it's a must be true and it has to apply to all my worlds, I don't have to check all my worlds. I could just go off of this first one and verify with it. So, okay. My answer choice is 1. Next one, it says the first batch of peanut butter cookies is made on Tuesday, or sorry, if the first batch of peanut butter cookies is made on Tuesday, the following could be true except. So that means we're looking at worlds 2, 4. which could be true, except 2 different kinds of cookies have their first batch on Monday. Could I have that happen? I could have that happen. Could be oatmeal, could be the S. So A is out because we're looking for our exception. 2 different kinds have their first batch on Tuesday. That could be true. I could have P, I could have S, so that could be true. 2 different kinds of cookies have their second on Wednesday. I don't have that happening. So I'm going to pick C. D, 2 different kinds of cookies have their second on Thursday. That could be true. So that eliminates D. And 2 have their third batch on Friday. That could be true. We could have that happen. And again, because it's a could be true or it's a could be true, except just having it happen once is enough to eliminate it as an answer choice. So our answer choice is going to be C in that world or that question. 16, if no batches of cookies is made on Wednesday, which one of the following must be true. Where can I make that happen? The only worlds I can make that happen in is number 4. No one can go on Wednesday in number 4. And there's no rule or a restriction where I have to have someone on each day. So this is totally fine. So number 4 is the only world that we're looking at. And we're looking at a must be true. Typically with must be trues, I say you can predict them because it's just something that is set in stone, happens in all the worlds. But considering how many variables we have set in stone here, I'm just not going to really try to predict this one. A says exactly 3 batches of cookies are on Tuesday. Does not have to happen. S could go on Monday here. So we can eliminate A. 3 batches are made on Friday. Doesn't happen or doesn't have to happen because O could go on Thursday. At least 2 batches are made on Monday. Again, doesn't have to happen because I could have S on Tuesday instead and just have O on Monday. At least 2 batches are made on Thursday. That does have to happen because P and S have to have their second batches on Thursday. So I like D. Fewer batches of cookies are made on Monday than Tuesday. Doesn't have to happen. The rule specifies that it's fewer. So technically I could put S in here and have O and S1 on Monday, which is not fewer than O and P on Tuesday. They're just the exact amount. So E is actually wrong as well. So our answer choice is going to be D. $17, the number of batches made on Friday if the number of batches made on Friday is exactly 1, which one of the following could be true? Where can I have that happen? The only diagram where I can make that happen is number 2. I could say that P is going to stay in Thursday and O is only going to be in Wednesday or Thursday. No one else can be on Friday. I could just have S3 on Friday. Everywhere else, I have to have P3 and S3 on Friday. So we're looking for what could be true. Again, could be true questions. You could kind of predict. You can look at the variables that are flipping. So it could be something to do with S1 or O3 because we're flipping between Wednesday and Thursday. It could also force, it could be like P3 has to be on Thursday or something. That could be true. So let's just go through our answer choices because I have a lot of different kind of predictions. The first batch of sugar cookies is made on Monday. Wow, what a prediction. That's my answer choice. S could go on Monday here. And again, predicted it. It's a variable that moves around in that world. So that's going to be my answer choice. The first batch of oatmeal cookies is made on Tuesday. Nope, can't happen. That's going to be my second oatmeal. Third batch of oatmeal is made on Friday. No, we actually can't have that happen now because of that restrictive our if in our question. So C is out. First batch of peanut butter is made on Wednesday. Nope. And if you think about it with this restriction, if I had the first batch of peanut butter on Wednesday, I would have to have the second on Thursday and the third on Friday. And so I can't have that happen. So nope. and the second batch of peanut butter is made on Tuesday. Note, my second batch is going to be on Wednesday. So my answer choice is A with a correct prediction. Okay. Okay. 18, if one kind of cookies first batch is made on the same day as another kind of cookies third batch. Oh, gonna pause there because the rest is just the parameters of the question. We're gonna find out where this happens. So 18 says if one kind of cookies first batch, pen, no, ay. So if one cookie's first batch is made on the same day as another cookie's third batch. So we're looking for something like this, 1 and 3 together. Where could we make that happen? We can make that happen in 2 and 4. We could say S1 is going to be on Wednesday and O3 is going to be on Wednesday. And same thing up here, S1 on Wednesday, O3 on Wednesday. Did I miss anything else? I don't think so. No. So we're in these two worlds. Which one could be false? So we're going to go through and see if our answer choice could be false. Answer choice A, at least one batch of cookies is made on each of the 5 days. Could that be false? No, each day is going to have each day is going to have someone there. Monday has 1, Tuesday has 2, Wednesday has 3, Thursday has these. So someone is always going to be on those days. So that's not our answer choice. At least 2 batches of cookies are made on Wednesday. That actually has to be true. So it doesn't have, well, no, it doesn't have to be false because, it's not a possibility of being false because in that second world, I still have at least 2 batches of cookies. It's just 3 batches. So B is wrong. C, exactly 1 batch of cookie is made on Monday. No, that actually will have to be true. So that's not a possibility of being wrong. That O1 is going to be on Monday. So, and it's always going to be that O1 because we're not going to have this flipping around. D, exactly 2 batches of cookies are made on Tuesday. Again, that has to be true, O2 and P1. You pray and hope that it's E. Exactly 1 batch of cookies is made on Friday. Aha, that could be false. We could move P3 over here and have 2 batches of cookies. Oh, and actually down here, that actually has to happen. 2 batches of cookies have to be here. So it could be false that exactly 1 batch of cookie is made on Friday. So E is going to be our answer. And that is our last question. So that's a triple sequencing game. I do think this one's a little bit different than like a double and regular sequencing game just because you have the repeated variables, but it's still the same concept of you're ordering 3 different groups basically. So yeah, that's the lesson. Triple and double sequencing games, you're just adding that extra layer. So practice, practice, practice. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, good luck.